Okay, let's be real. Nobody ever wants to think about it. That horrible sound of crunching metal, the hiss of an airbag. You're shaken up, but you're okay. But right after that, in all the confusion, this whole other world kicks into gear. One that most of us, honestly, know nothing about. And that's the world of accident towing.
So there you are, standing on the side of the road, your car is a mess, it's definitely not drivable, a tow truck is on its way. Sounds simple enough, right? But what actually decides which truck shows up, and what are you supposed to sign? And maybe, most importantly, how much is this all gonna cost?
Well, this is where it gets kinda complicated. See, the rules for accident towing, they're not the same everywhere. In fact, the single biggest thing that's gonna shape your whole experience is your exact location at the moment of that crash.
All right, so let's start with the big picture here. Because in the state of Victoria, there are basically two different worlds when it comes to accident towing. Two completely different sets of rules.
You see this map? That blue outline is everything. It marks out what's known as the controlled area. Now, if you crash inside that line, and we're talking about metropolitan Melbourne and the Mornington Peninsula, you're in one system. But crash anywhere outside of it, you're playing by a completely different rulebook. So here's the key difference. It's all about how the job gets assigned. Inside that controlled area, think of it like a really organized taxi rank at the airport. There's a central system, and it just gives the job to the next operator on a roster. No fuss. But outside that area, it's more like trying to hail a cab in the rain. It's a free-for-all, and different operators can literally compete for your business right there on the spot. And the official name for the system in Melbourne, the one that's like a taxi rank, is the Accident Allocation Scheme. The whole point of it is to stop a bunch of tow trucks from, racing each other to an accident scene. It's all about creating an orderly, roster-based process where just one, and only one, allocated truck is sent out to the job.
Okay, let's fast forward to the moment that truck actually arrives. This is huge. This is where knowing your rights is absolutely crucial. And it doesn't matter where you are. As the driver, you have specific protections. You really have to understand these, especially when you're feeling stressed out and vulnerable. And this is the piece of paper you're going to see. It's called the authority to tow. Now, it might just look like another form, but you have to understand this is a legally binding contract. So before you even think about putting a pen to this paper, you need to know exactly what you're agreeing to. Okay, so here are the big ones, your non-negotiables. First off, you, not the tow driver, get to choose where your car goes. That's your call. Second, they have to give you an official fact sheet that explains all your rights. Third, the driver is legally banned from touting, and that's just a fancy word for pressuring you to use a specific smash repairer they know. And maybe the most important one, you can and you absolutely should get on the phone and call your insurer or a family member for advice before you sign a single thing.
And this piece of advice right here, it's especially important if you happen to be in one of those unregulated areas where you might have more than one towee to choose from. Don't just assume the price is the price. You have to ask for a clear quote right up front before you agree to anything. All right, so you've signed the form, you've chosen a tow destination. But why is that decision so important? Well, because where your car goes first can have some pretty major and often hidden financial consequences down the road. Here's a term you need to get your head around: a secondary tow. So that first tow from the scene of the accident, that one's often regulated. But any tow after that, like say from the tow company's holding yard to a repair shop a few days later, that's a secondary tow. And the fees for these tows, they are not regulated at all anywhere in Victoria. And trust me, they can really add up fast. And you've got to understand the context here, right? The towing industry isn't just operating on its own. A lot of these tow operators have really close relationships or are even co-owned with smash repair businesses. Now what that does is create a pretty strong incentive for them to, let's say, encourage you to have your car taken to a specific affiliated depot or repairer.
So let's talk about the bottom line. What's this actually going to cost? Well, you've probably guessed it by now. Just like the whole process, the price you pay for that first tow is all about your location.
So if you're inside that controlled Melbourne area, the prices are all fixed by law. It's spelled out. This table shows you the official government-set rates. There's a base fee that covers the first 8 kilometers, then a charge for each extra kilometer. There's an after-hours surcharge, and even the daily storage fees are set in stone. The whole thing is designed to be predictable and totally transparent. But the moment you step outside that blue line on the map, everything changes. There are no fixed prices. Nothing. The only legal rule is that the fee has to be reasonable. Now, what exactly does reasonable mean? Well, that's a good question. It's basically left up to interpretation and whatever the market will bear.
And this quote,
taken straight from a commercial towing website, shows you exactly what that market looks like in real life. It's competitive. Price becomes a huge selling point, which is why getting a firm quote for yourself is just absolutely essential.
Okay, so let's boil this all down. If you're ever in this stressful situation, you just need to remember 3 things. First, know where you are. Are you in a controlled area or not? Because that changes everything. Second, understand what you're signing. That authority to tow form is a real contract, so treat it that way. And third, always ask for a clear quote, especially if you're in one of those unregulated areas.
You know, when you look at it, the system is this strange mix of tight regulation on one hand and wide-open competition on the other. It's trying to balance order with a free market, but it really leaves us with one big question to think about. In that moment of crisis, when a driver is shaken up, stressed out, and standing on the side of the road, is this complicated system really doing enough to protect them when they're at their most vulnerable?